A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. So we continue. I'll repeat the lesson that I took yesterday. We actually finished on the 83rd verse prior to the summer holidays. And we'll continue with the 84th verse, as you can see on the screen. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا مِيثَاقَ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ لا تعبدون إلا الله وبالوالدين إحسانا وذي القربى واليتامى والمساكين وقولوا للناس حسنا وأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة ثم توليتم إلا قليلا منكم وأنتم معرضون. And remember the time when we took a covenant from the children of Israel. You shall worship nothing but Allah, and show kindness to parents, and to kindred, and orphans, and the poor, and speak to men kindly, and observe prayer, and pay the zakah. Then you turned away in aversion, except a few of you. Okay, there are many words or I guess phrases that you will be familiar with, especially those of you who have been attending over the last few months. Wa and is when. Akhazna, we took. Right, so akhazna, we took the noon and the alif in the end. This is an indication that this is referring to we. Akhazna, we took. What did we take? Misak. Misak is a covenant, like a promise, a covenant. So Allah is saying, wa is and when akhazna, we took, meaning Allah took a covenant from Bani Israel, from the children of Israel. And the covenant was that la ta'budun. La is not. Okay, la is not. Ta'buduna, you will worship or you shall worship. So the first criteria to the covenant was la ta'buduna, you shall not worship illa, except Allah, except Allah. Right? This is the foundation of that covenant, that you will not worship except Allah. Then we come to the rights of people around us, and Allah mentions wa and bil walidaini ihsana, and with your parents ihsana, kindness, meaning and treat your parents with kindness. Now wa bil walidaini ihsana, this is how you will break it down. Wa and be in Arabic is with, right? Al-walidain is your parents. Particularly, al-walidain means your father and your mother. Okay, walidain is your parents. Wa bil walidain, and with your parents. Okay, so normally it should be be al-walidain, but when you connect it, it becomes wa bil walidain, and with your parents, ihsana, kindness, treat them with kindness. So you can see there's a certain flow to this verse of the Quran. The covenant set by Allah, that Allah took from the children of Israel, was primarily la ta'buduna illallah, that do not worship, you shall not worship illa, except Allah. Then wa and bil walidain, and with your parents or with parents. In fact, this will just be with parents, right? So this is inclusive of all parents. Wa bil walidain, and with parents, ihsana, treat them with kindness. Ihsan means kindness. And this treatment of kindness continues on to the wa and zil qurba, and kindred. Zil qurba means those who are close to you, right? So you can look at it from the perspective of your close family relations. So wa zil qurba, and show the topic of ihsan. Okay, I'll just highlight this. This is going to continue across the next mentioned groups by Allah the Almighty. Okay, firstly, parents, show them kindness, and the kindness continues to kindred, wazil qurba. And then it follows on to wal yatama. Al yatama means the orphans. Okay, in Arabic, you might be familiar with yatim. Yatim is an orphan. Al yatama, orphans, right? So plural. So wal yatama, and the orphans, show them ihsana, kindness. Wal masakin. Al masakin is the poor, right? So the alif lam here, as you can see here, this is the translation for the poor, right? So al masakin is the poor. If you take the alif lam away, then it just becomes poor. Okay, so for example, when you say miskin, it's just poor people, poor individuals. But when you give it alif lam, it becomes the, right? So miskin is a poor individual, right? And the plural of miskin is masakin. Just like here, you have yatim, an orphan. Yatama is the plural. In the same way, miskin is a poor, just one in terms of the number, right? So al-masakin is the plural, which will mean the poor in general. So Allah continues, right? So from parents, show them kindness, zil qurba, kindred, yatama, the orphans, al-masakin, the poor. Then Allah generalizes to the general public, right? Generalizes the topic of showing kindness to people, right? So now you can see he's categorized different groups that you have to make an effort towards. Then Allah says, waqulu, and speak and say, right? Qulu is plural. It means all of you speak, all of you say. To whom? Linnas. Linnas is to the people, husna, kindly, right? Meaning, and speak to men, meaning linnas, people, kindly, right? So Allah has generalized the topic here, that speak to everyone in a very kind manner. So in terms of linnas, this is actually this is what it is. This is le is to, annas is the people, right? So linnas, when you combine the two, is to the people, right? So the alif gets dropped and it becomes linnas, to the people. Qulu, speak, linnas, to the people, husna, kindly. Then Allah the Almighty comes to another perspective of this covenant, which is wa aqimu. Wa is and, aqimu is observe. And again, the waw alif in the end is an indication that this is plural. Aqimu, observe. All of you observe as-salata. As-salata, the prayer. Again, see, alif lam will mean the. As-salata, the prayer. Wa and atu, give, az-zakata, the zakat. So having said, having explained the covenant, the misak, Allah the Almighty then goes on to explain, to say that summa, then, tawallaytum, you turned away. The tum in the end is referring to you. Tawallaytum, and you as in plural, all of you, you turned away. But Allah the Almighty knows, of course, that there are pious people amongst, regardless of how much one turns away from Allah or that group turns away from Allah, there are always good pious people amongst that group. So Allah says, Summa then tawallaytum, you turned away, illa qalilan, except a few. Qalil is few. Illa, except. Illa qalilan, except a few. Minkum, from you. So, Summa then tawallaytum, you turned away, illa, except qalilan, a few, minkum, from you, right? So, min is from, kum is you. Minkum, from amongst you. Wa antum, and you. Mu'ridun is those who turn away, right? So mu'rid is the one who turns away. Mu'ridun is the plural, those who turn away. Okay. So let's have a quick look at the general translation that we can see here. Wa iz akhazna misaqa bani Israel. And remember the time, akhazna, we took, misaq, a covenant, bani Israel, from the children of Israel. La ta'buduna illallah. You shall worship nothing but Allah. Illallah is except Allah, but Allah. Wa bil walidaini ihsana. And show ihsana, kindness, to al-walidain, to parents. Wa, and zil qurba, and to kindred. Wal yatama, and orphans. Wal masakin, and the poor. Wa qulu, and qulu, speak. Linnas, to men. Husna, kindly. Wa aqimus salah, and observe prayer. Wa atu zakah, and pay the zakah. Thumma tawallaytum, then tawallaytum, you turned away. Illa qalilam minkum, right? Except a few of you. Wa antum mu'ridun. So here the mu'rid, they've translated it as in aversion, right? So they've actually made it part of the translation, but the specific translation is in the middle of the verse. So summa, then tawallaytum, you turned away, mu'ridun, in aversion, illa qalilan minkum, except a few of you. Okay. So this was the general translation of this particular verse. Then the next verse is that wa iz akhazna misaqakum la tasfikuna dima'akum wa la tukhrijuna anfusakum min diyarikum thumma aqrartum wa antum tashhadun. And remember the time when we took a covenant from you. You shall not shed your blood or turn your people out of your homes. Then you confirmed it, and you have been witness to it. Wa, and is when. Akhazna, we took. Just like the previous verse, akhazna, we took. Allah is saying once again, wa is, and when. Akhazna, we took, i.e. Allah took. Misaqakum, a covenant from you, right? This on its own will mean your covenant. Misaqakum, your covenant, right? But what this actually means is when Allah took misaqakum, a covenant, kum, from you, right? So misaq, a covenant, kum, you. So a covenant from you. And the covenant this time was la, not, tasfikuna is you shall shed. Okay. La tasfikuna, you shall not shed. So if I was to take away the lam, it will be you shall shed or you will shed. La tasfikuna, you shall not shed. Dima'akum. Dima'un is blood. dima'akum, your blood. So the covenant this time was, or a part of the covenant was that la tasfikuna dima'akum, that you shall not shed your blood. And the second part was wala tukhrijuna, and la not tukhrijuna, you shall turn out. Okay, wala tukhrijuna, and you shall not turn out anfusakum, yourselves. Okay, anfusakum, anfus means selves. Anfusakum is yourselves. So in Arabic, you're all familiar with the word nafs. Nafs is yourself, right? Self. Anfus is the plural of nafsun. So anfusakum will mean yourselves. Okay. So Allah the Almighty is saying, wala tukhrijuna, and you shall not turn out anfusakum, yourselves, min, from diyarikum, from your homes. Min, from, diyar means homes. Okay. Diyarikum, your homes. Thumma, then, aqrartum, you confirmed. Aqrartum, again the tum in the end is referring to you in plural. Aqrartum, you confirmed. Thumma aqrartum, then you confirmed. Okay. So what Allah is saying here is, after having established the covenant, the misaq, that you will not shed your blood and you will not turn out yourselves from your homes, thumma aqrartum, then you confirm, meaning that, you said to, you confirmed with Allah that we've understood the covenant and we will abide by the covenant. And Allah is saying, wa, and antum, and you, tashhadun, you witness. Okay, you're a witness to this. Right, so let's have a look at the general translation again. Wa is, and remember the time, akhazna, when we took, akhazna, we took, misaqakum, a covenant from you. And the covenant is that la tasfikuna dima'akum, you shall not shed dima'akum, your blood. Wala tukhrijuna anfusakum, or turn your people out, min diyarikum, of your homes, out of your homes. Wala tukhrijuna anfusakum min diyarikum, or turn your people out of your homes. Now, this is something which I wanted to explain. Anfusakum. Anfusakum on its own will mean yourselves. Okay. So what this means, wala tukhrijuna, you shall not turn out anfusakum, yourselves, min diyarikum, from your homes. Of course, you can't take yourself out from your home, right? Or ask yourself to leave the home. What this means is, as the translation explains here, or turn your people out of your homes. Right? So anfusakum, as your nafs, your nafs, your soul is very close to you, right? So what anfusakum means here in the general translation is people who are near you, in your surroundings, anfusakum, who are very, very close to you. So Allah is saying, wala tukhrijuna anfusakum, and do not turn out anfusakum, your own people, right? Do not turn out your own people, min diyarikum, from your homes. Then diyarikum is your homes, right? Wala tukhrijuna, and you shall not turn out anfusakum, your people, min, from diyarikum, from your homes. Thumma, then, aqrartum, you confirmed it. Wa antum, and you, tashhadun, have been witness to it. Okay, hopefully you've understood. Anfusakum on its own, like here, will mean yourselves. But in the context of the verse, it means your people. Do not take out your people from your own homes. The people who are close to you. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.